They say it takes a village to raise a child, but who's supporting you?
At Tambarkas Physiotherapy, we, Harris and Angelique, provide expert family centred care. From injury rehab to postpartum recovery or simply feeling confident to move again, we're here for you.
Come visit us in our Padstow clinic and mention Wita sent you.
Hello, and welcome to Wine with Wita, the podcast that is dedicated to engaging with health professionals and caregivers in meaningful discussions. I'm your host, Rita Shamoon, or as my clients call me, Wita. I'm a pediatric speech pathologist, and I am so excited to have you here. Each week, we deep dive into connecting you with caregivers and healthcare professionals, sharing their insights, stories, and key takeaways to help you with your child's diagnosis and your journey. Whether you are a parent, healthcare professional, a lifetime learner, or simply a wine enthusiast, you're in the right place. So let's sit back and relax and enjoy today's episode. Today on Wine with Wita, I'm joined by someone who's known for his strength in the ring, but it's heart outside the ring that truly inspires me. Junior Farr is a former New Zealand heavyweight boxing champion who has faced some of the biggest names in the sport. But after years of fighting professionally, he made a bold and beautiful decision to retire, not because he had to, but because he chose purpose over punches. He is also a proud husband and dad to 3 children, including a child that's autistic, and now dedicates his time to uplifting others, especially families raising children with additional needs. Today, we talk about fatherhood, fighting with purpose, and what it really means to show up when life gets real. Junior, welcome to Wine with Wita.
That's an awesome introduction. Thank you so much.
I am so grateful that you are here, not only to represent the autistic community and dads, but also you're one of my first international guests. So I feel like Wine with Wita is going worldwide.
Worldwide, global, baby.
So, Junior, please tell the listeners about who you are from your sporting profession to then also to your personal life as with your family.
Oh, so yeah, so I'm just a professional boxer, or retired professional boxer now. I started boxing when I was 16.
Wow, young.
And then just basically it kept at it throughout my years, and only recently retired. So retired last year, I think close to this time last year, around April was the
Mhm.
time I stepped away from the ring. So during that time of me fighting, basically life happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I I I met my girlfriend, and my girlfriend turned into my wife. We had a family. We done all of that while I was fighting and training and preparing for this and that. So so yeah, it was just all that. I remember I got married. We had a child, my boy Ezra, and then yeah, and then that's basically my introduction into fatherhood, but my introduction into autism as well.
Yeah. So tell me about Ezra. How old's Ezra?
Right now he's 11 years old. He just turned 11
Yeah.
not too long ago. He's getting tall, big boy. And is yeah, yeah, so he's 11. So like,
Yeah.
some preteen hormones
Yeah.
going on there, along with autism as well. So
Yeah.
big mixture of everything at the moment.
My daughter's turning 12 this year and she's going into high school next year. And I so
Right.
understand the pre-hormones. They go from like, want you, mummy, I want you all the time to get out of my face, don't even come next
Yeah.
to me phase right now. So it's like, I don't know if I'm ready for this phase, but you know what? It's part of life, isn't it?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's different because he's like the moment you just can't tell him anything, man. Just like I I try to like tell him something he doesn't like, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's been cool. It's been cool. It's been interesting. It's been a journey.
Yeah. So tell us why you decided to retire from boxing. Now, as I told you previously, my sports literacy is quite minimal. So I have no idea what encourages people to retire. But was it a personal choice? And if so, let's talk about that.
Yes. So it was definitely a personal choice. Big story, but I'll just narrow it down. So the reason my whole life philosophy changed.
Yeah.
And I went from seeing the sport like boxing. I went from seeing boxing as a sport to seeing boxing as a very violent thing. And
Interesting.
yeah, there was a very big change. I remember at the start of last year, it was very hard to get me in the gym because
Mm.
things, I don't know, something within just changed. And I remember going to the gym and I was just like, oh man, there's a lot of people throwing punches to the head.
I don't mean to laugh, I'm sorry. But it's like, what were you thinking when you were boxing all those years ago?
Exactly, exactly, exactly. But yeah, but things things just look very different. And then someone just like,
Yeah.
oh man, and so before that, I could feel something was different within, and I'm not too much of a spiritual person at all. I was just like, oh, okay, something's off, but we'll go back to training. Movement usually helps me when I'm in a rut. So,
Mm.
if I'm feeling unmotivated or whatever it is, I'm down, I'm feeling emotional about something, movement usually helps.
Yeah.
And I tried to get moving, it just wouldn't help this time for some reason, but it usually always does, and it didn't this time. And then so I had to explore that, and
Mm.
then yeah, then a lot of time to myself, a lot of talking with my wife, and then we tried to get myself some like personal help. So I saw a
Mm.
therapist and stuff and started to explore that. And then I wasn't too much of talking until I kind of had to had to be at peace with where I am
Yeah.
or where I was, which was not in the sport. I just
Yeah.
wasn't in the sport. And so I'm just like, oh, so for me, I'm like, okay, my sport's quite dangerous. So if I'm not all in, then I have to be all out.
Yeah.
And that's what basically happened. I just pulled away from the sport, and it was the right thing to do because, like, after that, things just fell into place in terms of um, how I was feeling. Because before I said I was feeling off,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Something wasn't
like it wasn't
aligned
really,
with your
yeah,
values. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for sure. And then so when I stepped away, then it started to align again. But it's was also quite scary as well because it was something very different, because I'm
Mm.
used to boxing. That's all I know. And now that I'm not doing that, okay, like it's good that I'm aligned with myself now, but where do I go from here?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that part in itself has been quite a journey. And I'm finding my feet now, and
Mm.
things are moving along well.
How long were you boxing for? 20 years, was it?
Pretty much, yeah,
Yeah, that's a long time for a career
yeah,
and to have that sudden
yeah,
shift. But isn't it amazing when you have that, your gut telling you you're not in the right place? Listen,
yeah,
and that noise or the whisper just keeps
yeah.
getting louder and louder.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that I would never have believed in before. You
Mm,
know what I mean?
mm.
Because just as I said, I'm just not that type of person. But just for lack of a better word, just my spirit wasn't aligned with
Yeah,
my
yeah,
thoughts and
yeah.
my body. So yeah,
What a
but yeah,
blessing
it's
to
much
listen to
better.
your body that way.
Yeah.
Did fatherhood influence that decision at all? Like in a subconscious way that my kids are watching me fight, yet at home we don't allow fighting. Like it's like a catch 22.
I don't think so. Like me personally, I don't think so. I've always kind of separate. Well, not really separated the two, but they just weren't in the same area.
Yeah.
In terms of like this is this, this is this. But no, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure in terms of that because because my kids knew about boxing and they know
Mm,
it's a sport, and they were fine with me going out and punching people and them punching me. It was just part of the sport, so they were
yeah,
okay with it. And um, yeah, but who knows? There's a lot of things that happen subconsciously. So
yeah.
even though I
Maybe.
say I don't think so, but never know.
Don't know. You just know. Now let's talk about your son Ezra. He has a diagnosis of autism. In Australia, I'm assuming the same thing in New Zealand, but we go by level 1 to level 3. What level is your son diagnosed to?
I'm not too sure, to be
Not
honest.
sure. You don't know.
No,
Okay.
so recently I've been seeing the level one, two, three. I don't know what that is because when he was diagnosed, we weren't given a level. I don't know if we were
Yeah, it's
supposed to
recent. When
or
I say recent, probably
oh,
the
okay.
last 5 years, they've changed the categorization from level 1. So back when I
Ah,
started working, it used to be high level functioning autism or Asperger's or even
yeah,
low functioning autism. But now they've categorized in Australia. I don't know if it's the same. And I'm assuming it's the same in New Zealand. It should be worldwide. But level 1 is not as much need level,
yeah,
and as their needs get more higher, the
yeah.
level goes higher. So because their function, so someone that's quite dependent on care, non-speaking, speaking needs, lots of support would be a classical level 3 type of autism
Mm.
diagnosis. Mm,
Oh, okay. Yeah, because now it makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, my son was diagnosed when he was 3, and he's 11 now. So I,
yeah.
I, I remember I was quite confused with the diagnosis because I remember they said he's it was quite a wide range. They said that he's low to severe on the autism spectrum, and then I was like, what does that mean?
How
Is
did
that
you?
the whole
How does
thing?
someone understand that? Like that doesn't make sense. Like you're telling me he's not that
I
bad, but then you're telling me he's quite
it's like
significantly severe in that area.
there's like what I thought. I was like, oh, that's a strange one. But yeah, but but my son. So he's so I remember when he was diagnosed. So he's non-verbal,
Mm.
and is it global developmental
Global
delay?
developmental delay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So those two. He's saying words now, stringing together some familiar words to express himself.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. That's where he is right now.
So he was 3 when he was diagnosed with the global
Yeah,
developmental delay and non-speaking at the time. What did his
yeah,
autism diagnosis come not long after that, or did they also diagnosed him with autism at that time as well?
yeah. Pretty much at the same time.
Same
So
time.
yeah, so the thing with Ezra is I said this somewhere. I said this on one of my reels. Is that I did notice he was different. I did notice
Mm,
that the way that he learned from a very young age was different because I had me and my wife had a big role to play with
yeah.
raising our nephew, and so I
Okay.
remember holding baby my nephew, and they watch your eyes and they watch how you move your mouth and stuff like that. And when my son came along, because they're not too far in age, probably like I think
Mm,
a year or two apart, and I noticed my son wasn't doing that. He wasn't really observing the face and stuff. He would kind of turn away, and so from that, when he was a few months old, I kind of figured that he would learn differently.
yeah.
And then as we progressed through the years, we weren't told anything until I think it was one of the teachers or something. They suggested that he go see a see our doctor. Then our doctor
Pediatrician
referred
possibly?
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the doctor referred us to a specialist. And then yeah, and then I remember the day because I just came back from a fight in the States. So I went to the States, had my fight, came back like a few days after, or maybe a week after. We went to the specialist and we were waiting there, and then they took us in. Uh, they were just kind of observing him straight away. So,
Yeah.
they would we were like walking to the room, but before we even got to the room, they kind of had him walk and kind of like, go to the wall and back and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then,
Watching his
we'll
gait.
do that pretty much, and then just
Yeah.
go to the room. They get to play, and they were just playing the whole time. And we were just there with the other lady, because I think there was two or three in there. So two of them was playing
Yeah.
with my son, and there was one with us. Trying to,
Yeah.
I think she was just asking questions, and then 30 minutes later or 20 minutes later, then she told us.
Something's
Yeah,
wrong, yeah. How was that experience for you as a dad? Like, I'm just feeling it was, like, quite intimidating having all these health professionals around, observing your son, and then they come with a diagnosis not long after.
yeah. It's so uh, for me, I can't really remember specific
Yeah.
feelings apart from I remember I remember when they told us that
Mm.
he's on the spectrum. Me and my wife are very different, so
Yeah.
I'm I'm quite a pragmatic person, and I'm just like,
Mm.
oh, okay, sweet. So basically, that's good to know. How can we help him?
Yeah.
Um, I, I, I don't really give my I don't really give myself room to feel anything.
Mm.
Whereas my wife is a lot better with stuff like that. So
Yeah.
so both of us had different approaches and stuff. She got a bit emotional and stuff. I was there for that as well. And then yeah, but in terms of how it was and how we felt, it was pretty cool. Like, for the whole time they were just playing with him, and and my boy was having fun. So sweet, you know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean? And before that, I didn't really understand like what this was for. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I kind of knew that my son was like a little bit different, because before that, so he was 3 and he wasn't saying any words. So I knew
Mm.
he wasn't speaking, but a lot of people said, "Oh, don't worry. My daughter was the same, and then she
Yeah.
started speaking at 4, and now she can't shut up." Oh, like, it's all stuff like that. Um, yeah, and so we got told that before the diagnosis. So we were always hoping that he could speak later on. And
Yeah.
then when we kind of got the diagnosis and learned what it was, then the goals kind of change. You
Yeah.
know, we didn't have the same goals as we did before. We didn't have the same vision as we did before. Uh, little bit shattering, but not too
Mm.
much for me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I'm definitely for the kid, and just how to help the kid. If I had a vision before, doesn't matter. Oh well, changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh well, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? There goes your plans.
Just move on, just carry on
Yeah,
with it,
move
and
on.
nothing's gonna change. We still love
Yeah,
our boy, just our
yeah,
goals are different now to helping him communicate.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. How was that like as a dad hearing those comments? Or don't worry, my daughter didn't talk till 4, nothing to worry about. Or I didn't talk till this age. It's
Yeah,
okay. You're probably being looking into it too much. What was that like hearing all those somewhat positive but also diminishing comments from family members and friends?
I don't know. I was a little bit of was a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Um, as you said, like, they're all very well intended, and
Yeah.
that's how we took them. Can't really take it any other way. Um, because at that stage we didn't really know what to do, because he's so
Mm.
young. Because, like, he was 2 going on to 3, wasn't saying any words, and so things were suspicious. But what are you doing there at that age? So anything that was said to us at that stage, we just kind of accepted it, rolled with it, because it was nothing bad. But then with the diagnosis, the road became a lot clearer,
Yeah.
and it just explained so much. So yeah.
Yeah. When did you start therapy, and what was that experience like for you, receiving speech pathology, occupational therapy, and maybe behavior support? going from boxing to then running to all these appointments as well. That would have been quite different on the timetable
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. It was different. So we didn't really like chuck him in into too much. So I remember he got diagnosed. My wife went straight to the books. She chucked me some stuff to read and to listen to, and I did. And when he first got diagnosed, we just were just constantly on YouTube watching everything
Yeah,
and reading everything, and then just learning. Oh, okay, early intervention is the best thing. So
that's right.
that's what we done, and I went with certain things. So we got an occupational, uh, what is it?
Occupational therapy.
Occupational
We
therapy, yeah,
OT,
therapist,
OT,
OT.
occupational therapy.
Oh, there we go, OT. Um, yeah. So when he was younger, and that was an interesting one because at that time we were living with my parents, and
Yeah,
uh, and and for the older generation, especially on
yeah,
my side, on the Tongan side, um, like it's it's not so. I mean, it's received well. They just don't really know how to
yeah.
receive
I
it.
so get
You
what
know
you
what I
mean.
mean?
I'm from a
Yeah,
Middle
yeah.
Eastern culture, and my niece has autism, and lots of families that I deal with are from multicultural backgrounds. And one of the biggest comments that I hear on pretty much every day is that all you do? Play? Is that all you're doing? Just playing? Why do you need to go see a speech pathologist
Right.
or an
Yeah.
occupational therapist? Because we can
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not just about the play, it's about everything else that comes with the play skills that where we build this rapport with a child. So I can so resonate with your parents who come from a different generation who have that
Mm,
skewed mindset of, is that all you're doing to
yeah.
help him
Yeah.
communicate?
Yeah, man. Heck, yeah, because I remember my mum when the OT came around and she was playing with Ezra, and I could just hear my mum's eye rolls in the back. I was just like, oh, look at these two
What was
just
her
running
comment when the
around.
OT left?
Yeah, so that was it was good. We got him that. We got him a speech therapist. Um, but we didn't have it for too long. So
Yeah.
mostly because of funding at the time, we couldn't really afford it. Couldn't
Yeah.
afford it and stuff. But it was quite good because his his kindergarten teachers were very very good. They're very very
Mm.
good with him, uh, and my boy, he's well at that age, he was a very well tempered boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just a gentle kid. Um, and and he got along with the teachers very well, and they really loved him. So even though we did have some extra care for him, we didn't actually stick with them for too long because the
Mm.
teachers at his kindergarten were like taking very very good care of him. And then we got we got assigned OT to us as well while we were in kindy, and then they came over and they were teaching him while at kindy as well. So yeah, plenty of support. A lot of things I'm starting to remember as I'm talking about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like,
Because it's so long
even
ago,
though,
wasn't it?
yeah, so long ago, and then so I'm talking about Kendi, I'm like, oh, that's right, this happened. Oh, that's right,
Yeah.
that specialist came along, and that's right. Yeah, so big journey, big journey.
Yeah. For any dad going through their child's initial diagnosis of a disability or autism, could you give them any words of advice coming from the dad's perspective, looking at their child or supporting their child?
Um, it's so different for everyone, eh? It's very very
Mm,
different for everyone. I've heard so many. I don't know, like to me, so I'm kind of a part of this ASD dads group here in New Zealand,
yeah,
and there's to me there's actually quite a lot more that's more on the emotional side,
yeah,
on the not so much that I'm not emotional, but they they really take it hard, and seem to be in denial,
Yeah.
and they get stuck. I think that's one of the things is they get stuck. They had a
Mm.
vision for their boy, and when their boy got diagnosed or their girl got diagnosed, they can't let go of that child that they thought that their child would be because it's
Yeah.
changed. I see that quite a lot. Um,
Mm.
so for me, I'm just thinking you got to let that go, man. You got to
Yeah.
let that go. Um, what's going to happen is something different. That doesn't mean it's going to be anything less. Doesn't mean it's going to be, worse. You know what I mean? But basically, you holding on to this other child, man, it's not going to help with the lovely kid that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
That's what I see. So some of them just need a bit of time, and then they
Yeah.
process and move on into reality. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that'll be probably the thing I would say to most of the dads that I
Yeah.
see is they just got to let that dream go.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that because many dads or many parents in general hold on to the childhood aspirations that they had before their child's diagnosis. And I've actually recently spoken to a father who had many goals that he wanted to play soccer with his son. He
Yeah,
wanted to play footy with his son, but because of their child's difficulties, their ideas and aspirations for their children are not achievable yet. And so
mm,
they hold on to all this guilt and shame that they possibly contributed to their child's difficulties or
yeah,
they limited their child's capabilities, and so they carry that. And I think that there's some sense of like masculinity as well, that they cannot show any emotion attached to their child's disability. But this is the purpose of Wine with Wita and bringing on dads to talk about it. Everyone is experiencing the same emotion. Everyone goes to the ride. And the more that we talk about it, the pain of the diagnosis doesn't get any better, but it softens the ability to talk about it with each other.
mm, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What support did you access to help you out when it came to your son's diagnosis?
Like the actual like professional support.
Not for Ezra, did you access any support to help you with understanding autism and coming to terms with the diagnosis?
Oh right. Yeah. Just as I said, I think most of it was through a book, and then through watching
Mm,
a lot of YouTube, and then understanding and yeah, just understanding and coming to terms with how vast the spectrum is. You know
mm,
what I mean? So before I didn't really know anything about autism. Well, I thought I didn't know because then you learn about it, then it
yeah,
explains quite a lot. Then then I can think back to school and this time I was with this other kid. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Now that I
he's got it.
understand, that kid was
Yeah.
probably yeah. So yeah, no, yeah. So that was probably my biggest thing is just learning about it in any way I could. So for me, I like taking information through either my eyes or my ears. I'm not too much
Mm,
of like a reader,
yeah,
um, but I do like to listen to a lot. I like to watch a lot, and that's what helped me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
From all
oh,
this
and then
learning,
also, sorry.
no, keep going, keep going.
And then also watching the specialist with my child and my wife because she knows a lot more than I do
Yes, you would.
on this
Most mums
subject
do.
for sure. Yeah.
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 I guess with all the research that you did through watching documentaries, the therapists doing their therapy, and through what you like podcasts or other testimonials, what are some common misconceptions about autism have you discovered through your research, but also through your son?
Any misconceptions? Oh,
Especially possibly from your cultural background as well.
oh, right. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Gosh. Uh, yeah.
There's
There's
many.
some. Yeah, yeah. There are some. Um, So with the it's just with the cultural thing for sure. It's one of the one of the harder things is to try and let pe parents be a lot more patient with their kids
Mm.
because being an islander, um, we usually get disciplined as children. I didn't because I was a golden child, man. I was a good boy.
That is so
I was a
ironic.
good kid.
You didn't get disciplined, yet you turned out to be a boxer.
Yeah, man, I was the golden child. So yes, so my mom called me the boring child because I was just a sensible kid.
Were you the eldest?
Youngest.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
yeah, youngest for 13 years, and then my younger brother came along.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, for the youngest, you were the good child. It's normally like
yeah,
the little one's a rascal.
yeah. No, not me.
I
But
love how you're actually saying it on the podcast so family members can hear it. Junior
uh,
has said it, everyone. He's the favorite.
nah, nah, man. I think I'm too boring to be the favorite. Way too boring. Um, but so with the Islander background, the parents are like,
Yeah,
you know,
they're
they're the
stern.
boss. They're the boss.
Yeah.
They're very stern. The kids listen. You don't step out of
Mm,
line. And it's just that part of it with autism and stuff, and just trying to let parents understand that you know they're not naughty kids. Maybe try and understand and maybe seek some professional help. Some not professional help for the for the kid for the parents. Speaking about like maybe get your kid seen. Maybe they have
mm,
something and that'll explain these things rather than you trying to discipline out like it
mm, mm,
rather than seeing you hit your child and it really does nothing to them. So
mm.
that's like to me that's probably the biggest thing. And then also as we mentioned before, it's it's getting them to accept that as well, accept that diagnosis and learn about it and apply that to your parenting.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that to me is probably the biggest one to help my people out, and then also just you get a lot of different interpretations of autism
Yeah.
from those around us. So you got the ones that think that that it must be so hard. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Mm.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, man. Like like it sounds got autism. Oh my
The
gosh, it
this
must be
the
so
petty,
hard.
like the petty comments, like, "Oh, you
Yeah,
poor thing." How does that
yeah.
feel when you hear that? Is it quite condescending?
I don't like it.
You don't like it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I really don't like it because it seems like they think that it's like 20 times worse. I'm just like, bro, both of us are raising children, man. Children are hard to
Yeah.
raise, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah, and just some are different, and and some, yeah. So it's just a different approach, but that's just due to them and their ignorance. Really, can't really
Mm.
play them too much. But yeah, but I don't really like those comments. And then you get the ones that are on the other side of that, where they see like all the all the brilliant minds of autism. You know what I mean? Like the ones that are like super smart and they're like genius something.
Mm.
So like they're just like, oh, you know, don't worry, man. As soon as he gets his um as soon as he figures out what his thing is, he's gonna be this genius, like the
Yeah.
like the supercomputer type of thing. You know what I mean? I was
Like
like,
the
oh
Sheldon.
yeah,
Sheldon from Big Bang
Sheldon,
Theory?
yeah,
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 for
yeah.
sure,
Mm.
for sure. And then like and they say that, so they think it's either yes. So I get two of them. So like so you get the ones that that just pity you, and you get the ones that think he's going to be this like this amazing super smart kid, and then I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna let things fall where they fall, and
Yeah.
if he's just this normal kid who's just really good at playing video games, sweet.
Yeah.
You know
Has
what I
other
mean?
skills. He's got other abilities that you don't know about. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So,
As a
yeah, and then
parent,
sorry.
what would you rather people tell you instead of those petty comments or even those remarks about his intelligence? What would you like? As a parent, what would you like people to understand, but also to say?
I think it's more of the rather than seeing the diagnosis, maybe asks about the child, and then
Yeah,
asks how the child is or what they like, what they don't like, and stuff like that, rather than have the diagnosis um, be the actual child.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what it is for. I'd say most parents that are parents who autistic children, especially autistic children, because it's such a
mm,
vast um, spectrum, So
yeah,
it's like they say, no two people on the spectrum are the same.
no,
So yeah,
yeah,
so it's so vast. So it's best to ask questions and what they're like, what they don't like. Usually, it's what they don't like.
yeah. But that actually helps when you know what the child doesn't like. It actually then will encourage better social gatherings or better food on the table. And that will
Yeah.
make you as a parent feel, oh, wow, I have a sense of belonging. Someone understands me. I don't have to stay home all the time. Like we can go to these particular places because that's where my son loves to go. And you can have like your own social needs met by hanging out with your friends, but also your child is safe and secure as well, which I think is so lovely
Yes.
that people have that awareness too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been super cool as well because so Ezra, all the people around us, they all basically know him and what he's like and what his preferences are mostly.
Mm.
Yeah, and they kind of know that he basically makes the rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he runs
So
the
he
house.
comes over,
Yeah,
yeah, pretty much. You know what I mean? And that's just
yeah,
how it is, and that's what everyone knows. And it's cool, especially seeing him around his cousins and stuff, and they know what he's like, and plus he knows what they're like, and so
yeah,
it's cool getting him to interact with other children as well.
yeah.
But yeah, that's been good.
Junior, your face lights up when you say Ezra's name. And I can just sense this beautiful love and pride that every parent has for their child. Could
Mm.
you please tell the listeners what's your proudest moment with Ezra as a dad?
Oh, my proudest moment of as Ezra. Um, I don't know if I have like a particular moment, but I do love the way he is with his siblings.
Yeah,
He's very very good. He's a very good older brother. He's very gentle with both of them. You know what I mean? So yeah, not so much what he does. He can do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, sweet bro. You know what I mean? You're the man. You're the man. But yeah, but how he treats his how he treats others is a very, very big
yeah.
thing to me. And he treats his sisters very, very well. He's very gentle with them. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing about Ezra.
Could
Yeah,
you give an example?
like he's someone that I don't need to worry about
Yeah.
if he's around like a very young person. You know what I mean? I do know some kids on the spectrum. Some of their sensory issues, they're quite
Mm.
what is it? So their input is quite low, so they go and seek it, and they
Yeah,
might go
yeah.
in
Might
like
hurt somebody
push
by
kids or
accident. Yeah.
something. Yeah. Whereas with Ezra, I don't need to worry about that. You know what I mean? He's just a real gentle
Mm.
kid. And yeah, even today, so my youngest, my 3 year old, she's a bit sick at the moment. And when we came back, where were we? Oh yeah, when we came back from school, came walked in the door. My youngest was sleeping on the couch, and then both of my kids came over to see their sister, and then Ezra's just basically there rubbing his face next to the baby's face as
Oh,
well. You know what I mean?
His way of showing
He's a little
love.
gentle kid. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's gorgeous. And that would
Mm.
make your heartstrings pull a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. For sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's gorgeous. I'll give him a cuddle tonight when he sleeps.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous. Junior,
Yeah.
you're very active as a big advocate on your social media platform about autism. You speak so highly of the disability, but as well as celebrating your son's ability all over your social media platform. What inspired you to go down that path to raise awareness?
Um, I think it's so, yeah, I think it's so important, very, very important. Um, Mostly for my son
Yeah.
and just for others like him, and not just others on this on the spectrum, just others who are different as well. So,
Mm.
it's very typical for people to feel empathy for someone who looks different.
Yeah.
And then with autism, it's not really a physical disability, so you can't really tell on some people. Those
Yeah.
who those who have a bit more experience with autism, they'll be able to spot them out just from the way that they act. Um,
Mm.
and so it's just trying to spread awareness that other people exist in this world. They
Yeah.
might look like us, but everyone's different, and there's a reason why someone might be acting a little strange or a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah. Yeah.
weirder
Just
than,
different. Yeah.
yeah, they're different. So maybe take time to understand, or
Mm.
try and see if they need help or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's more on that, and um, also one of um, and while I was fighting, I put autism on the back of my shorts, and yeah,
Ah.
so the reason I done that is because another fighter was doing that as well. Because I didn't really know what to put on my shorts because I don't have a fight name, and
Yeah.
my last name isn't long at all, so it doesn't take up much space.
Doesn't take
You
up
know what I
much
mean?
space, does it?
No, not at all. So I was like, oh gosh, I need to put something back there. Um, and then so one of the other fighters from the UK who I actually trained with, his name's Callum Smith. But there's a whole group of brothers called the Smith brothers, and I think there's four of them. Pretty sure they've all been world champions too. Very, very impressive
Mm.
family. Um, so their sister is autistic, and all of them
Ah.
have autism on the back of their trunks, and that's something that I saw, and then I was like, oh, perfect. I'm gonna put that at the back of my shorts. Then and then so I started to do that, and it's quite surprising the people who started following me solely because of that. You know what I mean?
Wow. That's
Yeah. So
amazing.
yeah, just because it is so prevalent in our world, so
Yeah.
it touches basically every culture. You know what I mean? It doesn't discriminate.
Everyone. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it just the word autism? Or like did I
Yeah.
have autism advocate or just autism?
Autism. Yeah.
So junior
Autism.
far
That's
autism.
it. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. And the fact that people probably weren't even watching the fight completely, but
Yeah.
they just saw that word, it probably like, I had like that sense of relatability, like, oh wow, there's
Yeah.
something special about this boxer, autism. I can connect with him that way. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
What impact has it done? So being online, so you've had people contacting you as well, sharing their stories or their own personal dealings with it too.
Yep. Yeah. It's been cool because my page is very it's a bit
Boxing
sporadic.
and a bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's a bit of everything. Your page, yeah.
Yeah. Right now I'm really focusing on boxing because that seems to be that seems to be what it should be used for. I mean, I am a boxer, so I am very, very focused on more boxing stuff now. Whereas before it was just about me and what I liked, and what I liked was autism stuff and
Mm.
music stuff and this stuff and that. But yeah, but people did did know that I was a big advocate for autism, and one of the biggest things, one of the big like the power, one of the more powerful experiences that I had was a father, random a random number called me one night, and
Mm.
I usually don't answer private phone calls, but I just picked up this one time, and it was this Tongan father on the other side of the phone, and started talking about his boy. Yeah, like and his boy is autistic. This was probably a few years ago now. And he just wanted to talk about autism, and then so we did, and he just expressed his 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 fears,
Yeah.
as a father about his son. So his son was 10 or 11 at the time, and his son wanted to go to school. So he didn't put his son into school because of the fears of his boy getting teased. Because he
Yeah.
didn't want his boy to get teased, he wouldn't be able to handle it. He said, and that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
That's that's one of our fears is
Frightening
being a
world.
parent, 100%.
Mm.
And so yeah, and so I remember that, and and he broke down about it, um, and we just talked about it, and to me, it's yeah, it was just a good, like, just a good awakening that people need a lot more awareness and a lot
Yeah.
more acceptance of the disability, and yeah, definitely a lot more awareness and a lot more acceptance. So I'm just trying to do my part on my page and spread what I can,
Mm.
and well, not hopefully, I know it's getting seen by the people that need to see it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And hopefully your interview on Wine with Wita will get in the ears of other dads that
yeah, for
will
sure.
not only feel inspired by you, but also develop the sense of advocacy and to help others just as long as much as you have done too, Junior. So thank you
Mm,
for your endless efforts and just being so real about your experiences to not only support Ezra, but to support autism. So thank you.
mm. No, no problem.
Ezra, before we finish up today, I ask all my guests if you were to be a better version of yourself tomorrow, what word will you apply to yourself today?
Oh,
That
oh,
wasn't prepared, was it?
as a spanner. Um, I gotta figure out what that word is. So I had a mental performance coach. His name is Dave Neath, and he just gave. Oh, and I just went out and bought his book, and I started reading it. Um, it's been great. And one of his main words that he said to me a lot while I was seeing him, and what he says in the book is, I'm pretty sure, is the word congruent. Congruent,
Congruent?
yeah.
I've never heard
Is
of that
that
word. Let me
ah?
Google it.
Is
Congruent?
yeah, something like that, or congruent. I don't know,
What's the
something like that.
context?
So it's basically what is it? Matching your words and your thoughts with your actions, or something like that, or things being in line.
This is quite sad that I'm a speech pathologist that doesn't understand what this word means.
Oh no,
Congruent.
yeah,
The rules
I
may
think
not be. It means in agreement or harmony.
yeah, that's the one.
Is that the
That's
one?
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So explain what does that word mean? Congruent.
yeah. Well, yeah, because what he used to always say is just, it's just you gotta, basically what it said, before, what you said about it being in harmony, and making sure that things are in line.
Yeah.
So
Which is what you
so
did.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much,
Everything
yeah,
aligned.
yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
so
Now I
and
understand that word.
so and so right now I'm trying to seek that. I'm seeking that
Yeah.
right now, in terms just trying to um get myself a bit more motivated, and with that motivation, it'll come. I mean, it'll bring a bit more purpose, and things will hopefully get aligned, and I'll be able to move forward into where I need to go. As I said, I've boxed for 20
That's an awesome
years.
word. I like
Now
that
my
word. Be
yeah,
congruent.
yeah,
Alignment.
it's
Love
a
it.
good one.
Love it. Good
Yeah,
word. Love it, Junior.
Thank
Now,
you.
for anyone that would love to reach out to you, can they contact you on your Instagram page?
Yeah, for sure. Junior
Yeah.
Far,
Junior
well,
Far Boxer.
yeah, that's the
And
one.
I'll
Junior
put
Far
it in the
Boxer.
show notes. It's pretty simple. Junior Far
Yeah.
Boxer. The favorite son.
Yeah. The boring child.
The boring child. The youngest of before 13 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Junior, this has
Um,
been a pleasure chatting to you this evening. It's been wonderful to hear about your advocacy and your journey as a father, but also as a boxer. Without a doubt, you will help so many families. So thank you for coming on Wine with Wita this evening. And for everyone else, another wonderful episode will be brought to your ears next week. Take care, everyone. See ya. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Wine with Wita. I hope you found some new inspiration, learnt something new, or gained a fresh perspective. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd be so grateful if you please leave a 5-star review, as it really helps the show get in the ears of new listeners, plus it takes 5 seconds. If you're keen for more strategies and insights, then head over to Instagram and follow RS Speech Pathology.